Hello, I'm Elizabeth with the Newport Historical Society, and today we are speaking with Kate Weller, who is a living historian that focuses on foodways and food history. Kate is going to chat with us about pickling.
Hello, thank you for having me. So, in the 18th century, one of the things, well, first of all, foodways in general, I love working with because it kind of creates a universal for us to connect with the past. Everybody has to eat. And one of the things I always saw I was getting questions about is how was food preserved? How was it saved before refrigeration? And going into that, and pickling more than what we think of today was one of the most popular ways of preserving food and helping it stay a lot longer than it would have if you just had, plain cucumbers or vegetables laying out, or even in a cooler climate from what you were able to have in the 18th century. So um, nowadays, when you hear pickles, you're thinking of pickled cucumbers. But in the 18th century, you have recipe books that have large amounts of pickling directions for all sorts of things, from every type of vegetable you can imagine, but then more unique things like pickled peaches or even pickled lemons. So it's kind of interesting to see how things that we would think of as sweet or fruits would also be pickled in a brine, very similar to what we think of as pickled vegetables.
So, can you tell us about how someone would pickle something in the 18th century? What is the process?
Well, there's a number of recipes and or receipts, and one of the things I love is that they also steal ideas from each other, sometimes verbatim, so they'll have the exact same language. One of the most popular recipes or receipts that I've seen for pickling comes from Hannah Glass, and that's the Art of Cookery. What you see often is that you'll start with a base, the ingredients that everybody has: vinegar, salt, and you want to have those are your preserving methods. So you want to have as much salt, I've seen this in a number of recipes, to make water be able to hold an egg. So they're telling you how much salt to put in so that an egg will float, and they'll use that terminology. When you get past the actual vinegar and the salt element, the seasoning changes as well. I've seen a number of recipes that they'll have kind of the common 18th century ingredients we think of. Mace is a big one, allspice in there, ginger. And these are spices that, again, we see very common, nutmeg, in 18th century cooking, but when you're thinking about pickles, might not be what you think of automatically. A lot of people think of dill pickles as probably your most common ingredient. You do not really see that in the 18th centuries, but at least in 18th century English receipts. So those are really your base ingredients. And a lot of the work isn't so much the ingredients themselves, it's prepping your material that you're pickling. And in the Hannah Glass, you see her saying to prepare to keep those cucumbers, in this case, having them actually sit in a saltwater bath for a few days. So you're really prepping that cucumber to be able to take the vinegar as well as the spices that you're using.
Do you have any examples of pickling for us today?
Well, again, from Hannah Glass, and also one of the books I love, which honestly rips off poor Hannah Glass. She really has the Art of Cookery made plain and easy, and then you see all these people that are stealing her ideas. But this is from 1780, and it is The Farmer's Wife or Complete Country Housewife. And what I like about that is that they really tell you what to do in general for pickling, and tell you to use stone or glass jars. And a stoneware jar, you can see one right over my shoulder, but stoneware is not your redware that a lot of living historians use today. It's really a thicker, denser ceramic. And you want that, and it tells you right here that common earthen vessels, again, something like a redware, are soon penetrated by the vinegar and salt. So the brine itself will actually seep out of the stoneware, and that way it both ruins everything around it, but also you lose that for the pickles. And some of the pickle recipes, so we have cucumbers, onions, French beans, artichokes, cabbages, mushrooms, and asparagus. So you can see there's a large variety, and some of the spices do change, but they always use a white wine vinegar, that salt, and then again, you see a lot of the nutmeg, the mace. Sometimes you even see cinnamon in the receipts. So you see that over and over again with the different types of vegetables.
Well, thank you very much for sharing all of that information about pickling. And if you are feeling the quarantine boredom, visit newporthistory.org and shopnewporthistory.com.